Students, welcome back to the second part of the Balanced Scorecard approach. Earlier we had learned about the different perspectives, the four perspectives, business perspectives which are measured by this approach. Now moving forward, we have a complete Balanced Scorecard example before us with all the perspectives over there. Now here, as you can see, on the top we have the strategy map, which is being designed for the manufacturing excellence, the process which has been taken. Then the objectives which we need to measure. For all these objectives, we have the Balanced Scorecard, the tool which is being used. The measurement is being done in these particular units. What are the targets to be set? And then we have the action plan to be taken. The initiative should be for like monthly, weekly, daily, whatever kind of monitoring you want, and then the budget to be allocated. So moving forward with the first perspective, we have long-term shareholder value, the return on capital employed, which should be let's say some excess percentage, and there are two aspects to it. It should be like to improve productivity and growth of revenue. So basically the objectives are operating cost and efficiency needs to be measured, capacity utilization, capability utilization, and brand or image formation needs to be measured. For each and every objective, we have a measurement aspect being taken into picture. For operating cost and efficiency, we have cost per unit or the efficiency. For capacity utilization, we have the percentage of utilization which is being measured in the aspect that how much capacity is being utilized. Then for the capability or utilization, we have the trial production or the spare parts production. And then for brand or image, we have the warranty cost which is being incurred by each and every company. The targets here are being set, and if by chance they are not being done, then what do we need to do? The action plan, the initiatives, how do we need to take for each and every aspect? It can be like you can see monthly monitoring, weekly or monthly monitoring or weekly or monthly monitoring for each and every objective respectively. And the budget allocated also needs to be written over here. So this is about the financial perspective. Going next forward to the customer perspective, it offers products and services that are consistent, timely, and low cost. The customers want the products and service to be coming to fulfill their demand timely. They should not be very costly, and obviously the quality should be maintained. So that is where consistency comes into picture. So there are four aspects in this particular concept. That is low cost, customer satisfaction, world class product should be there, and enhancing the brand. For this we have the objectives as in low cost manufacturing, then you have world class quality standards, world class delivery timing, knowledgeable and skilled partner, high customer satisfaction, and reinforced brand image. For all these particular objectives of the customer perspective, we have the measurement tools in the Balanced Scorecard. So we have man-hour per unit, defect per unit. For the quality standards to be maintained, the defect per unit should be the least, because if the defects would be high, then obviously the quality standards cannot be maintained. For the delivery timings, we have the sales delivery tool, wherein what is the turnaround time for any particular order which has been put forward and how they are being delivered. Then knowledgeable and skilled partner, what is the direct pass rate, then market feedback for high customer satisfaction, and sales volume, because if the brand image is strong, the sales volume will continuously increase. But the targets, if they are set for these measurement tools, if they are not met, then the action plan seeks forward for weekly, daily or monthly monitoring. For the production and sales manufacturing, it is a separate initiative which can be taken. So this is about the internal perspective. Now about the internal perspective, we have ensure operational excellence with innovation as well being socially responsible. So there are four aspects to it again: operational excellence, alliances with SBU, then process innovation, and socially responsible. So the objectives here are to measure productivity, delivery, continuous improvement, NPI, safety and health, and environment, because for the employees we need to keep everything up to date. So that is where for productivity we have the cycle time which needs to be measured. Then for delivery we have to meet daily plans or work in progress. Then continuous improvement, are we including Kaizen or ICC? Then timely introduction, Then you have industrial accident and commuting accident for safety and health and environment. Are we disposing toxic waste? Then ISO 9002 quality standards. Again, for this we set the targets, and then we have the hourly, daily or monthly follow-up or specific program, weekly follow-up, cross audits, and then defensive driving and facility readiness certification. So this is all an example. The last one is the learning and growth perspective. We have strategic job and system. The two aspects are not visible to you. I will relate it because the screen is not coming to the full mark. Then the two aspects are the skills and the info system. For that we have the objectives as in develop the necessary skills, information systems availability, and the last one is strategic awareness. For these parallelly we have R&D and development, ALC, procurement, financials, and for the last one it is alignment. And finally for these parallelly the targets are set and action plans includes training and skill build up. Then you have setup, test and validation, and the last one is communication program. So this is a complete scorecard example how the companies can maintain it, and it can differentiate based on the which type of company is there and what kind of business they are into. Moving forward to the next slide, we have a balanced scorecard strategy map which is being designed to achieve the growth in the organization. For achieving growth basically or including all the perspectives, we have all the perspectives in the picture. If you see the map, we start from the learning and growth perspective, move to the internal perspective, then customer value perspective, and finally the financial perspective, because financials can be achieved only if all the internal processes, customer values, and the learning and growth perspectives are being met properly. So starting from the learning and growth perspective, we have a motivated and prepared workforce which goes forward for strategy competencies, strategic technologies, and the climate for action, because here the learning takes place and growth perspective increases. If all these is properly into picture, then we move to the internal perspective, wherein we build first of all the franchise or maybe the new innovation process are being done. Then increase customer value, customer management processes. Then you have achieve operational excellence, operational processes, and be a good corporate citizen wherein environmental processes are involved. Then if all these perspectives are working fine internally for the organization, we move to the customer satisfaction part, wherein there are different types of propositions. Customer value proposition is met by product or service attributes or relationship or image. Then for product or service attributes, we have the price, quality, time, and functionality. For relationships, how are we providing the services and maintaining the relationships? And for the image, what is the brand value or the brand image being formed? If all these excellence, operational excellence, customer intimacy, product leadership, all these things are maintained, then we have a concept called customer acquisition, customer retention, wherein the customers are continuously with us. And we move forward to the last perspective, which is the financial perspectives, which has the most important value in the organization, because if the financials are not strong, we are not meeting rest of the objective, the scorecard model will fail, because we ultimately need to increase our revenues. So for new revenue sources or the customer profitability, cost per unit, and asset utilization, as you can see, these all are intercorrelated also. It's not that they work individually and then this only map can be achieved. They are related internally to one another also. So when you have new revenue sources, we build franchises. For customer profitability, we increase the customer value, and these two combine to form the revenue growth strategy. Then the shareholder or the value return on capital employed, that is what is being achieved when we are increasing the growth strategy, achieving the growth strategy. The cost per unit can be done for improving the cost structure. Then asset utilization improves asset utilization, which both of them combine to form the productivity strategy. And finally, all of these combine to improve the shareholder value. Students, this is not essential that each and every aspect of this particular map has to be achieved. Again, this depends on the kind of business which is being done. So moving to the next slide, now we have the department level scorecard example before you, wherein we have again the business value, internal process, future readiness, and user orientation being measured. So how do we look at management which contributes to business value? What must we excel at which leads to internal process and increasing the business value? Are we working efficiently? Then how can we continue to improve and create value? So these are the different examples or the different processes which we are looking forward if we are measuring the department level, if we are maintaining the department level scorecard. Now moving forward to a bit of interesting cartoon before you, the pitfalls and criticisms of scorecard. Dogbert Consult says you need a dashboard application to track your key metrics. So the other person asks, that way you'll have more data to ignore when you make your decisions based on company politics. So Dogbert is asking, will that data be accurate? So he says, okay, let's pretend that matters, because there are few pitfalls and few criticisms of this method also. So going forward for the pitfalls and criticisms, there is a lack of well-defined strategy, too much focus on the lagging measures, use of generic metrics, self-serving managers. Because we have few things which are not properly defined, we just take the perspectives. All perspectives or the examples which I told you, they might all not be applicable everywhere. So proper examples or proper strategies or measures need to be there for this particular kind of scorecard, but not forgetting the benefits. Here are all the benefits which you can see. It helps align key performance measures with strategy at all levels of an organization. Students, every model or every concept has its benefits and criticisms. So when you go through these benefits, you will understand that this model is beneficial also for the organizations if you implement it properly. So that is where, if you talk about it, some form or the other of a balanced scorecard is used by nearly 60% of Fortune 500 companies. So it's not that bad as a model for the organization recap and for the organization's proper working and moving forward, reducing the cost and achieving great financials. So that is where this approach now it ends. So thank you so much. I hope you might have understood this concept properly. Thank you.